I read comic books and I was the hero of the comic book. I saw movies and I was the hero in the movie. So every dream that I ever dreamed has come true 100 times.
Just the king of rock and roll, king of rock and roll.
Baby, baby, baby. Baby, baby, baby.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, baby.
The best 2 hours of Elvis.
Blue Suede Connection. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You know, I kind of chuckled a little bit when I was listening to this song because I was just envisioning a Vegas crowd.
Yeah.
Thought, let's go see Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. Let's go see a rock and roll show.
Yeah.
And they would have saw a rock and roll show, but they also would have went to church a little bit.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
Out of nowhere.
You can see them all look at each other. What's going on here?
What's this? And if Elvis did nothing else, he did expose the world to God a little bit more so than...
Well, if he did nothing else, he was himself all the time, no matter what.
And he never let people change him. And that's the greatest part about Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
He did what he wanted to do. He did it from the heart. If he wanted to sing blues, he'd sing it. Wanted to sing rock and roll, he'd sing it.
I know.
He was a spontaneous guy, too. I like that about him.
Hilarious.
Elvis said this once, "All I want is to know the truth, to know and experience God. I'm a searcher. That's what I'm all about."
Mm-hmm.
He also said, "I ain't no saint, but I've tried never to do anything that would hurt my family or offend God."
Amen.
Says a lot about the guy right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Imperials were a band that backed up Elvis. I think they started in 1969, did a few years with him, and then the Stamps took over.
Mm-hmm.
But one of those guys in that group was Joe Machio. And he got to know Elvis pretty well and became pretty good friends with him. Lots of different stories about Elvis that Joe has shared through the years, but here's one of those stories.
And he was so generous with us guys. I mean, you can't believe what the gifts he gave us and how much he would come in and he'd hug your neck and show a side of him that you never knew. I mean, I gave him a Bible one time, and he hugged me, and he pushed his forehead against mine, and he said, "This means so much to me." He probably had 100 Bibles, I think that is a part of the love and this love story with Elvis that I think is so important.
Hey, TL, why wasn't Elvis's hound dog moved back down from 9th grade?
I don't know.
They said he was high class, but that was just a lie.
That was just a lie.
Mm-hmm. Who was Elvis Presley's favorite movie monster?
Tell me.
King Kong.
King
Kong. What was Elvis doing at the beach?
Slicing sand.
He was going to a clam bake. Hey, you were close.
I was close, man.
It says a lot about our personalities when I'm sitting here telling you these really silly jokes that make no sense whatsoever. They came from funkidsjokes.com, by the way.
Yeah.
But and then you're going to now tell a very heart-wrenching, deep, soulful story.
We're switching gears.
Well, it's kind of appropriate because I think I tell the jokes better than you would, and I think you're going to do that story 10 million times better than I would. Go ahead, baby. It's all yours. The mic is yours.
All right. We want to talk about the Priceless Gift poem a little bit. Janelle McComb was a friend of the Presleys, going all the way back to Elvis's childhood in Mississippi. And she would visit Graceland often, have lots of deep conversations with Elvis. And she was a writer, a poet. She would write poetry and various other things. Elvis loved her writing. And in the year of 71, she was out there visiting. They were just, having conversations. She was watching little Lisa push her baby buggy around up and down the hallways. And Elvis said, "Can you imagine? She's going to be 4 years old." Janelle said, "What are you going to give her for her birthday?" And Elvis said, "Well, I don't know. She's our everything, and she has everything." And he said, "I want Lisa to know what's important in life, that money and all this fame and everything is not important, that it's fleeting and it's just vanity." And he said, "I want her to remember and know the values that I grew up with." And he asked Janelle, "Do you remember when we left Tupelo and all we had was a little trunk on the top of our car?" And so they were reminiscing about old times. And he said, "Janelle, can you write me something that I can give my little girl, something that she can always look back on later and remember the values that I grew up with? And I hope that they become her own." And so she came up with this. It's called The Priceless Gift. "Birthdays are always special. As your fourth one comes to you, and I wondered what I'd give you, just anything wouldn't do. I thought of childish treasures to hang upon your wall, yet nothing seemed appropriate, or none I could recall. Money seems so cold and fleeting, bought treasures go so fast, and I wanted a gift to please you, and one that would also last. You know you're sort of special. You are really all we've got. Your mama's bit of heaven and daddy's tiny tot. I closed my eyes, the tears rolled by, and I slowly found my way to a shadowed corner in the attic. 'Twas a link to my yesterday. I raised the lid to a frayed old trunk, and there a priceless treasure lay, a tattered apron with strings still tied, and I knew I heard her say, "Son, I am now just a precious memory, but don't ever forget one thing. I always tried to guide your life with these worn-out apron strings. They guided a man named Lincoln as he steered the ship of state. It's the only gift I gave you that will never go out of date." Apron strings changed the course of history as great men felt their tug. They followed sons onto battlefields without the slightest shrug. They guided both kings and beggars through harmony and strife. Son, you surely must have felt their tug, for how God has blessed your life. I bowed my head and said a prayer, for I knew God had surely touched a tattered old trunk so tucked away, and an apron that had meant so much. So, Lisa, I give you the priceless gift that surpasses all other things, a whole lifetime of love for you, she tied in her apron strings, Daddy.
TheGodTube.com. We've been talking about this, so here you go. They pick what they feel are the top 10 Elvis gospel songs. Number 10, Crying in the Chapel. Number 9, His Hand in Mine. Number 8, I Believe in the Man in the Sky. Number 7, Take My Hand, Precious Lord. Number 6, In My Father's House. Number 5, How Great Thou Art. Number 4, Amazing Grace. Number 3, Working on the Building. Number 2, Swing Down, Sweet Chariot. And they picked the number 1. We already played this a little bit earlier. If the Lord Wasn't Walking by My Side. So there you go.
Wow.
Do you like that list?
I'm surprised Crying in the Chapel was so low.
Yeah, usually when you do gospel stuff, that's always on top when all these lists.
Right.
And How Great Thou Art, I'm surprised that wasn't a little lower than number 5. But they're all good songs, and if you made the top 10, that means you're good anyway, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hey TL, I think Elvis fans are starting to catch on to Blue Suede Connection.
What's not to love, Daniel? 2 hours of great Elvis music, lots of fun. It's our own private party.
And we want everybody to be part of the party. Hear all the hits, rare cuts, and lots of surprises too. We are your Blue Suede Connection. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And hit that notification bell. We are your Blue Suede Connection.